Having said it's 6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting order. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'll just introduce the staff in the front, CAO, Assistant CAO Colleen, or sorry, not, got it mixed up already, Christy, sorry. Tanya, Planning Assistant, and Dan, our Director of Planning, and Colleen to my left here, our CAO. And to my right, myself, Deputy Mayor Glenn Fuel. Having said that, our mayor is away sick today, so he will not be attending. And Mayor, Councillor Kuczynski and Councillor Miller to my right, and Councillor Warren to my right. Okay, if we can get approval of the agenda. Mark and Melinda.
Be it resolved that the agenda be approved.
And all in favor? So moved. Get an adoption of the minutes. Mover. Melinda and Mark. All those in favor?
I'll just read it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Whereas
Yeah,
the minutes of the council meeting held December 19th, 2024 have been previously distributed to council, be it resolved that the same be and are hereby approved.
And vote on it. All in favor? So moved. Okay, so we'll start off with number 5, the planning matters non-public hearing. 5.1, request for a letter of concurrence, SLI Towers. I'll hand it over to the planning director, Dan. Get you to unmute yourself, please.
The first item on the agenda is a request for a letter of concurrence from a communication tower company, SLI Towers. They have followed the protocol under the ISID requirements. The reports were provided to council. They want to install a 213-foot self-supporting engineered tower within the northeast quarter of 9-10-4. This is just along the south perimeter highway. The communications, because communications and wireless service are federally regulated, municipal bylaws and regulations do not apply, but the tower companies still require council's letter of concurrence. They provided a 30-day notification period, which was done through local newspaper ads, and also have sent out circulation to the surrounding landowners. We have not received any comments, any concerns or objections on this tower, and if council were to consider this application, there was a resolution that was drafted for consideration. Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions from council for Dan? Okay, I'll ask that we move that for the concurrence of the letter. Get a mover, Andy and Mark.
Now therefore be it resolved that the development officer be authorized to provide the required correspondence relating to the letter of concurrence for the construction of a new wireless communications installation at 55108 Dawson Road within the northeast quarter 9-10-4 east.
Okay, so we get a motion to, or no, we have the motion, sorry. Can we get a vote in favor? All improved, moved. Now we'll go on to 5.2, Planning Development Plan Amendment Bylaw 2502, Agriculture Preserve to Employment. I'll get Dan to read the planning.
We have bylaw 2502. This is the first reading of a development plan amendment. An application was made by Mr. Wayne Edie of Edie Farms Limited. The development plan is to redesignate the property being the southeast quarter of 3610-4, excluding the power transmission line, Plan 7753. For this land being redesignated is currently agricultural preserve area to employment land. The applicant is seeking to redesignate the quarter section being 155 acres for industrial purposes. Mr. Edie intends to subdivide approximately 20 acres of land for an industrial parcel. The proposed development, there has been no conceptual plan submitted, only a rough site plan of severing off the first 20 acres. I provided to council the report, and within the report under section 4.1, some of the agricultural policies under the development plan. This land is currently predominantly, the soil classifications are class 3 with some class 2 soils within the area. It's not immediately adjacent to existing employment land. There is about a half mile of agricultural preserve between the two, between the parcel and the other employment lands, the existing designation. So if council were to consider if council were to consider the following development plan amendment, I offer the following resolution to be motioned for council for discussion and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So my first question, of course, would be to the development planning officer. In terms of redesignating this land, does that take away from the thrust of preserving obviously agricultural land? In other words, is it being farmed predominantly now? You indicated, of course, the class of soils, and how would those soils be protected if we do support this proposal?
The lands are currently being cultivated, correct. They are a high class of soil capacity. One way to, I guess, protect the actual physical soil on top is to strip the land and then preserve it later on. I could foresee when this gets circulated, if council grants first reading, then we have to circulate it to the provincial departments. I believe Department of Agriculture will be opposed to this.
Excellent. And do you know what the proponent plans to do with that? I know it's redesignated perhaps as industrial or so forth, but is it to put some sort of factories or other buildings, steel frame buildings? Like, is there any detail to what the intent is going forward?
On the total 155 acre parcel, no, not for the residual. On the 20 acre parcel out of the 155, I had some preliminary discussions of a industrial building going on there that needed high capacity hydropower for that type of business. And that was one of the reasons they had selected this location. So,
and I'm certainly for economic development, particularly for our RM, but again, I think the province will buy into the second stage of it in terms of how we preserve that soil, whether it be pulling it away or whatnot. That's kind of the safeguard, isn't it, going forward? That the province, the next step would be having the province review this file. And
yes,
putting conditions potentially on it. So there is a bit of a safeguard.
Yeah, the province will circulate it to the various agencies. We'll get comments back from those agencies, and then we'll present it to council.
Great, thank you for your information.
The applicant is in the gallery if council did have any questions strictly for the applicant. Again, it's not a public hearing for the public, but if council has questions for Mr. Edie.
Anybody next? Or
I have just a couple questions here. Like this parcel of land, when I look at it and it's a mile from Highway 207 and a mile from Highway 15, if I'm not mistaken. And it's in the middle of farming agriculture land. And if you're going to start employment in the middle of, I'm going to say this very nicely, in the middle of a farm area, what are you looking for the future? because we have a development plan that has certain areas of this municipality for certain employment, industrial, things like that. And we always talk about preserving our agricultural land. And I guess I sit there as a counselor, but I also sit there as a resident knowing that, yes, I have a business next to me, right? So if I'm on a 5-acre, 10-acre, I don't really want employment next to me, which I have currently. So you got to look at where it's located, what the development plan kind of says for, like, you don't want to have that over here, that over there, that over there, that over there. You need it in certain areas. That's just my comment on that. Like,
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Mark?
And I would be consistent to what Councillor Warren says, but maybe the development officer can chime in on this, or the applicant, as you say, is here. Maybe they can give their perspective if it's allowed.
Yeah, if council wants my opinion, sure. We are leapfrogging existing development. We are on prime agricultural land. I don't think it's a great location for this type of business right there. There are other lands nearby, and we could do a detailed analysis for council when it comes to the public hearing. This was just to bring it on the table as Mr. Edie had made the application.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
And Mr. Deputy Mayor, are we allowed then to have the applicant? Because I would like to hear perhaps his perspective, just to give us some insight before.
Yeah, I agree. I was just going to ask the applicant to come up and speak if he wishes. Wayne?
Good evening, councilors. I'm Wayne Edie from Edie Farms. I'm the owner of the property, the one who's making the application. First of all, to clarify the location is on Southwind Road, 1/2 mile east of 207. And it would that would make it 1/2 mile west of Pine Ridge Road. It butts right up against the existing hydro yard where they store their towers and yeah, so it's not out in the center of a quarter section per se. It's butted right against some land that is already used for industrial. Yeah. Reason for the application to put it there is because the intended site is to be used for what's called a data center. Now, a data center needs a large amount of hydroelectricity power to run. The possible purchaser has got an application into Manitoba Hydro to see how much power that hydro will give them. But that's the main reason for wanting to be where they're at. Now, as for anyone nearby, there's no houses or anything within 1/2 mile in any direction of this. Like I say, it's butted right up against hydro's existing yard site. That's the location of it.
So Wayne, I have a question to that.
Certainly.
I'm just looking at the map, and I kind of am familiar with 207 there. That yard there is more of a, I think there is a building on that yard that you're saying, but it's not zone employment lands then, that piece that Hydro owns. And is that what we're saying?
No, from what I understand, it never was changed over when Hydro put their yard site there. They've kind of got a little bit of a special agreement, I guess, that you would say.
No.
So maybe Dan could fill in on that.
Yeah, Dan, if you could clarify that for us.
There is no special agreement. What it is, sorry, I'm getting an echo. The Manitoba Hydro Act what's the word I'm looking for? Supersedes the Planning Act. So Hydro can go anywhere. They could establish any any yard site, any infrastructure facility without complying with zoning. They are established in agricultural zones, industrial zones. And these were just zones that were or designations we had done with the development plan to recognize the water treatment plant. And then they expanded further to the east, where they have a bit of a storage yard for their cable, which is kind of that, you can see it in the aerial photo, but a little faint. There's a whole gravel pad between 207 and the half mile off Southwind.
Thank you. Council have any other questions? Go ahead, Andy.
Hi, Mr. Edie.
Hi.
So how much land is business gonna take it from this 100-something acres?
Well, what they're looking for initially is 20 acres. And the reason for 20 acres, they're going to use 10 acres for the building plus parking. And then they want to use the remaining 10 acres for green space. So they're after 20 acres. For the start. Now, the reason for applying for the whole quarter section is there's a spin-off of a data center. And one of it is they produce a large amount of heat, which they need to disperse. So what they're looking at is partnering up with a agriculture producer, i.e. someone who's in the greenhouse business. They can heat these greenhouses from the excess heat from the data center. So that's the reason for owning up the data center next to the hydro, because they need extremely large amount of reliable power. And then the phase two, if you want to call it that, is greenhouses and agricultural facilities right next to the data center that can use the excess heat that they generate. That's the reason. And, thinking outside the box for future development, that's why I'd like to rezone the whole 155 acres. And if you look at it on the map, which Dan's been doing, it is quite isolated. It's really in the middle of other farmland that's owned by Manitoba Hydro, and everything else around that I own. So it's not like we're ponying up next to residential houses in any way. I do have some information on the data center that I brought that I felt you may want to know about, i.e. amount of water they'd use and, the noise from the fans that'll be cooling the facility. I've got all that. And I also have got a couple of developers that would gladly come down and give you a full presentation on what's involved in a data center.
So my next question, did you go and talk with the neighbors there in the area? Like if...
I have not yet, because we have not got to that step. But like I say, there really isn't any neighbors per se within a half a mile. I know them all personally, and I'd gladly talk to them before, this gets any further along.
Well,
I can't see any objection, Andy, if that's what you're thinking, but I'll definitely talk to them before.
But even the other farm owners there, the landowners, I should say.
Yeah, well, the other landowners immediately to the south, there's a 3/4 of a section, actually a whole section, which I lease from Hydro. Hydro actually owns that property. And everything to the north, I own that property for the next 2 miles. And if you go to the east and south, there's another section there, and I own that one as well. And as well as on the next section over, there's another quarter section that's owned by Hydro, and I lease that as well. So really, we're locating this in that area for that reason, because it's really out in the middle of nowhere. And there's not a lot of any light pollution, anything like that. It won't matter because Hydro is right next to them and they've got their yard site lit up, as you've probably noticed. But the main reason to put it there is because of the large amount of electricity that they're going to be using to run this situation. And that's the reason for my application for the zoning change.
Yeah,
and really, we are butting right up against employment land. Like I say, the Hydro yard is right there. They may not be zoned employment, but they're right there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Question for the planning officer. That's just one title there on that 155 acres?
There's one title, but the one title includes the southern quarter and the northern quarter. So you have, so it's the whole east half that is the titled property. Mr. Edie is only making application on the southern portion of that titled property.
Okay. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So just a question,
Sure.
because you would probably have the answer. It sounds like cryptocurrency, which generates a
Oh,
lot.
I know what that's about, yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't matter. The question is, would you be opposed to them stripping off, what is there, 8 inches of soil?
None whatsoever. No, it's actually should be recommended. Take the topsoil away, save the topsoil and backfill it with fill. And our location to the city of Winnipeg, they'll have a pretty easy way of getting fill hauled back in, and you need to build up the level a little bit anyway to. And another thing that with this site, it's got perfect drainage. The big ditch is right there on the other side of South Wind Road. So you can drain it to the south, straight into Southway Road, Wind Road. It fires into the floodway. It's not gonna get ponded out in the middle of the section somewhere, I guess you'd say.
Absolutely. And you're no stranger to this. And I know there's value to that topsoil as well, whether you sell it to
Yeah.
Lima or
100%.
whoever.
If
So-
they want to strip it off, I'll give them a place to put it, right
Okay,
next door.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Thanks, Wayne.
Okay, thanks, Glenn.
Okay, if I can get a motion on the floor for the power transmission line from agriculture preserve area to employment. A mover, sorry. Andy, second by Linda, sorry.
Be it resolved that first reading be given to bylaw number 2502, being a bylaw of the RM of Springfield, to redesignate all those lands within the southeast quarter 3610-4, excluding power transmission line plan 7753 from agricultural preserve area to employment as shown on Appendix A.
So if I can get a vote on in favor and against, so it's 2-2. Defeated. Thank you. Now we'll go to 5.3, proposal to subdivide Hazelridge Road, property boundary realignment. If I'll get Dan to read.
This is an application for a subdivision, which is a non-public hearing item. We have subdivision application 4189-247804. Applicant is Mr. Pizzey. The intent is to subdivide the existing yard site of 7.48 acres from a 60-acre parcel, and then consolidating the remaining with the adjacent 80-acre holding to create the following: the yard site, which would be 7.48 acres, and the residual would be 132.52 acres. Under the zoning bylaw, it falls under the AG, Agricultural General Zoning District. Under the development plan, it's an agricultural preserve area. There are 2 parcels of land that have a total acreage of approximately 140 acres under the 2 title numbers. The northern 60-acre property contains the yard site. The southern 80-acre parcel is currently vacant and is under crop production. The applicant intends to separate the yard site for retiring purposes from the 60-acre parcel, then consolidate it with the adjacent 80-acre holding to form 1 title for the residual land. The subdivided yard site is defined by an existing shelter belt, contains a single-family dwelling and accessory buildings. The dwelling is serviced by a private well and a septic field and septic tank. The yard site has an existing driveway approach off Hazelridge Road. The new residual area is vacant, but abuts Hazelridge Road to the north, which will utilize an existing access within the northwest corner of the residual lot. No new titles are being created with this subdivision. I provided council with, under the development plan, policy statements, and also within the zoning bylaw. It was circulated to various government agencies. Manitoba Land Titles, Terranet requires a plan of subdivision. Manitoba Agriculture has expressed concerns with the proposed subdivision. There are already 2 residential lots within the quarter of the maximum allowed under policy 441F of the development plan. They recommend that a condition of approval that a development agreement shall be entered into with the municipality to prevent any additional residential lots on the residual lot. Other agencies responded with no comments or concerns. Community Planning Branch also speaks about the consideration from Department of Agriculture, and they had provided 1 condition to enter into a development agreement for the residual lot and for no further residential dwellings. Public Works had no concerns, and our Water and Waste Department had no concerns either, since there's no utility or automated cart service. Council has 4 options. Council may deny the subdivision, council may defer the subdivision, council may approve the subdivision without conditions, or council may approve the subdivision with conditions. The subdivision can be considered under policy 417 and 441A of the development plan. If council considers approval of the subdivision application, I would recommend the following 3 conditions. Number 1, the payment of the requisite fees as set out by the current municipal fee bylaw. Number 2, that a development agreement be entered into with the municipality regarding the restriction of any construction or placement of a residential dwelling on the residual lot. And number 3, that the Public Works Department will require a digital copy of the subdivision, if approved, geo-referenced, and in AutoCAD Civil 3D 2010 or more recent format. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fuel.
Thank you. Any questions from council? No questions. Is the applicant in here? Hi. Do you have anything to add? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. If I can get the moved, Melinda, second by Andy.
Whereas Dugald Pizzey has submitted an application to subdivide the existing yard site and consolidate the residual farmland with the adjacent 80-acre holding to create the following: proposed lot 1, 7.48 acres yard site, and residual lot and adjacent 80-acre holding 132.52 acres. Be it resolved that application for subdivision number 4189-24-7804 be approved subject to the 3 conditions.
A vote in favor? Carried. We'll go to 5.4, proposal to subdivide Stoneridge Road in 1 lot, Lucek. I'll get the planning report from Dan.
We have subdivision application 4189-24-7803. This is a minor subdivision with no public hearing. The intent is to subdivide the existing 3.5 acre yard site off the 80.73 acre parcel to create the following: proposed lot 1 being 3.5 acres, the yard site, and the residual being 77.23 acres. Current zoning is AG, Agricultural General Zoning District, and the development plan designation is Agricultural Preserve Area. The subject property has 80.73 acres and is held under 1 single title. The applicant intends to subdivide the 3.5 acre yard site for retiring purposes from the existing 80.73 acres of agricultural land, which is currently under cultivation, resulting in the residual land being 77.23 acres. The yard site contains an existing dwelling, accessory structures. The dwelling is serviced by a private well, a septic tank, and a septic field. The yard site has an existing driveway approach off Stoneridge Rd. The residual farmland contains no structures and abuts Stoneridge Road to the east and Melrose Road to the south, and has 2 field approaches off Melrose Road. There are no proposed changes in the land use for this residual lot. I had provided within the report sections of the development plan and the zoning bylaw. Community planning branch indicates that the applicant proposed to subdivide the existing yard site for retiring purposes. This application is consistent with the development plan and meets the provincial criteria for a minor subdivision, which enables it to be given conditional approval without requiring any interdepartmental circulation or planning report. Community planning has issued conditional approval on this subdivision as per section 125(1) of the Planning Act. The applicant must obtain municipal approval prior to completing the other conditions of this subdivision. Public Works had no concerns. The Water and Waste Department did not have any concerns as well. Council again council has 4 options. Council may deny, council may defer, council may approve with conditions, or council may approve without conditions. As per the subdivision and the development plan, it can be considered under section 441B of the development plan. If council were to consider approval of this subdivision application, I would recommend the following 3 conditions. Number 1, the payment of the requisite fees as set out by the current fee bylaw. Number 2, that any zoning variance orders be obtained if required to ensure compliance with the zoning bylaw. Number 3, that the Public Works Department will require a digital copy of the subdivision if approved, georeferenced, and in AutoCAD Civil 3D 2010 or more recent format. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fuel.
Thank you. Any questions from council? No. Is the applicant here? Yeah. Do you have anything to add? No, we're good. Okay. Then I'll bring it to a vote or a mover. Mark and Melinda, seconder. Let Colleen read it.
Whereas Don Lucek, on behalf of John and Mary Lucek, have submitted an application to subdivide the existing yard site from the residual farmland to create the following. Proposed lot 1, 3.5 acres, yard site, residual lot 77.23 acres. Be it resolved that application for subdivision number 4189-24-7803 be approved subject to the 3 conditions.
Okay, we'll take it to a vote. In favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to now our public hearings. Procedures for a public hearing under the Planning Act. Public hearing matters will now be heard under the Planning Act. Council wishes to thank you for attending this evening and taking an interest in your community. The public hearing process is as follows. Number 1, the public notice will be read out indicating the intent of the application. Number 2, the development officer will provide a summary and information pertaining to the proposal. Number 3, those that wish to make presentation and speak on a planning matter must sign in, print your name, mailing address, and indicate for or against or here for information. You will be given the opportunity to make a presentation or speak on the matter presented before council. Opportunity for presentation or speak on the matter will be in the following order. A, the applicant will speak or make presentation on the proposed application. B, inquiries. This will give you the opportunity to ask clarification on what the planning matter proposed. C, those in favor. This will give those in favor the opportunity to speak. D, those in opposition will give those that are in opposition the opportunity to speak. When you begin speaking, please state your name and address, and reminder that all times you direct your comments or questions to the chairperson, which is myself and not to others. Once everyone has had the opportunity to speak, council may close the public hearing on the matter, after which further input from the public will not be permitted for legal reasons. It is important that if you wish to speak and be heard on the planning matter, now is the time to make representation. Again, once the chairperson closes the public hearing, no further discussion will be allowed. Thank you. So we'll go to 6.1, variation order 2501-71006. Stoneridge Road, minimum site area. And let Dan read the planning report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fuel. We have zoning variance 25-01. The proposal is to permit a minimum site area of 77.23 acres instead of the required 80 acres as per section 8441 within the AG Agricultural General Zoning District. This is a requirement of subdivision application 4189-247803. This is within the southeast quarter of 35-12-6, located at 71006 Stoneridge Road. Mr. Lucek is requesting council's approval to allow for the reduced site area on the residual lot as it was listed as a condition of the subdivision application to be in compliance with the zoning bylaw. If council were to consider this a variation, I would offer the following condition. Number one, that this order shall come into force and take effect on the date of the registration of the final certificate of approval on the matter of subdivision application 4189-247803. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fuel.
Yeah, thank you. Is the applicant in here? Yeah, would you like to come forward and add anything, or are you good with what the development officer read? Okay, thank you. Okay, any inquiries for the public? Any of those in favor? Any of those in opposition? Don't see none. Okay, I'll ask for a mover.
Close public hearing.
Mark,
Close
and
public
seconder
hearing.
Melinda. Oh, I need to close the public hearing. Sorry. Getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have a mover, Mark, and Melinda second.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Don Lucek on behalf of John and Mary Lucek for a variation of the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. And whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 6 variances has been met, be it resolved that variation order number 24-31 be granted subject to the one condition.
Okay, if I can get a vote in favor. So moved, carried. Thank you. We'll go to 6.2, public hearing on 51 Matheson Parkway, auto sales and repairs and trucking operation, Talby Holdings. Give it to Dan.
Thank you. We have conditional use 25-01. The proposal is to permit an automotive and equipment repair shop and a trucking operation business on the land as per section 69(3)(4) and 11 within the MG Industrial General Zoning District. This is located at 51 Matheson Parkway in the southeast quarter of 1611-4. Mr. Talbot of Talby Holdings Corp is requesting council's approval to permit the automotive and equipment repair and trucking operation at 51 Matheson Parkway. The applicant currently operates Aspen Truck Sales and Leasing, which is presently located at 46 Don Valley Parkway. Aspen's focus is on purchasing, reconditioning, repairing, and resale of used highway tractors. This work is exclusive to highway tractors and does not include any business relating to the highway trailers. Aspen does not offer repair or part service to the public. Its business is strictly to the highway tractors acquired by Aspen. They are seeking to purchase 51 Matheson Parkway to be used as a second location for their business activities. This purchase is conditional upon a conditional use application being approved by council. Aspen intends to store approximately 3 to 4 highway tractors within the shop at any given time and estimate to have 25 to 30 highway tractors will be parked on the property that are actively undergoing inspection, repair, reconditioning prior to their resale. They plan on improving the parking lot on the property by excavating and expanding the existing parking lot. Mr. Talbot plans to employ 8 to 10 employees, being heavy-duty mechanics and administrative staff at this location. Their proposed hours of operation will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. If council were to consider this conditional use, I offer the following 4 conditions. Number 1, that our municipal building inspector and fire chief conduct a building and fire inspection for the existing industrial building to ensure that all life safety, building and fire code requirements are met, and that any required code upgrades and or infractions be corrected prior to the operation of the business, and any issuance of any correspondence for MPI. Number 2, that a development permit be obtained for any signage to the business. Number 3, this order shall expire and become null and void on the date the business ceases to be in operation. And number 4, this order shall not be transferable to any other owner and or lessee. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for fuel.
Thank you. I believe the applicant's on Zoom. Is that Mike? Do you have anything to add, Mike? No? I just can't hear you, so.
Just that we're currently operating out of 46 Don Valley and 42 Don Valley. We will be ceasing operations at 42 Don Valley to move over to 51 if we're granted the opportunity to do so.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to inquiries. Anybody have any inquiries? And none. Those in favor? Not at this time. And those in opposition? Not at this time. I'll get a mover. I'll close the public hearing first. Getting ahead of myself again. I'll get this down right yet. A mover, please, Andy, and seconder, Melinda.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Talby Holdings Corp. On behalf of Michael Talbot, on behalf of Cam Henry Holdings Inc., owner of the property located at 51 Matheson Parkway, for a conditional use under the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. Whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 7 conditional uses has been met, be it resolved that conditional use order number 2501 be granted subject to the 4 conditions.
Okay, I get a vote in favor. Carried. We'll move to 6.3, Development Plan Amendment Bylaw 2411, Agriculture Preserve to Employment, second reading, Waterside Developments. I'll hand that over to Dan for the planning report.
Thank you. We have Mr. Bill McGarry, president of Waterside Development Corp., owner of the property, has made an application for a development plan amendment for lot 134, plan 433, within the southwest quarter of 29-10-4. The applicant seeks to redesignate the property from agricultural preserve to employment. Mr. McGarry intends to subdivide the approximate 17.4 acres to create additional industrial lots, including an internal municipal road. No conceptual plans were provided as of yet with this application. The subject property is currently designated agricultural preserve area under the development plan 18-09. I have submitted sections of the agricultural preserve policies, as well as the employment, a map of the employment of what's existing. To the north, there is the existing employment land of Waterside Development. To the south is land owned by the Department of Highways, being the Trans-Canada Highway, and to the west is some land that is owned by the railway. To the east, there is a small portion of agricultural preserve land adjacent to this proposed site. The bylaw was circulated to various departments, agencies surrounding municipalities and planning districts. At the time of the report was written, we had received no letters of objections. nor have we received, we've only received the comments from the City of Winnipeg, which were part of the provincial comments. The provincial comments were referred to the various agencies. Manitoba Agriculture indicated that while this is an existing small holding being 17.4 acres, it reflects a loss of prime agricultural land, and it is unclear of its redesignation is necessary at this point, given the large amount of vacant employment land directly adjacent to the parcel in question. Manitoba Agriculture expressed concerns from any agricultural perspective. Any commercial or industrial should be directed to those areas currently designated employment before expanding new areas. But please note that Manitoba Agriculture did not formally object. Manitoba Infrastructure stated that in response to an email dated November 25th, 2024, we have reviewed the above noted development plan amendment. The intent is to redesignate the subject site from agricultural preserve area to employment area in order to accommodate future commercial and or industrial development. The land being redesignated has frontage along Plessy. Based on all available information, we do not object to this amendment. I will not continue with the rest of their paragraph. It was provided to council and also on the municipal website. The City of Winnipeg had comments regarding land drainage. They wanted to, as the subject site will be draining onto the City of Winnipeg land drainage infrastructure as the water travels from east to west. They would want a condition for any future development that they need to submit a comprehensive land drainage technical memorandum prepared by a qualified municipal engineer to the satisfaction to the Water and Waste Department, which talks about rainfall events of 5, 25, and 100-year events. Those would normally be placed as a condition within a subdivision application, not necessarily a development plan amendment. With their traffic division would also like a traffic impact study for any future developments if this were to expand in the future. And again, that would be a condition of the subdivision and not necessarily a development plan amendment. The following departments and agencies either had no concerns or no comments to this amendment, being the Lands and Planning Branch, the Mines Branch, Bell MTS, Manitoba Hydro, MIT, Hydrologic Forecasting and Water Management, Historic Resource Branch, Environmental Compliance and Enforcement Branch, and CP Rail. Municipal Relations, Community Planning stated that in accordance with Section 41 of the Planning Act, the Development Plan Bylaw 24-11 is generally consistent with the land use policies in the provincial planning regulation. Community planning recommends that council given considerations of any objections received at the public hearing. So basically they had no objections to this proposal being community planning. If council were to consider this development plan amendment, I would offer the following resolution to be discussed and considered by council. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fuel.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything to that? You come up and state your name.
I'm Bob Doolin and I'm with the applicant.
Go ahead.
Am I too late to postpone this matter until next month? The reason being, I contacted Manitoba Agricultural this morning by email. The lady that wrote the letter with concerns asked for some data on the net loss of farmland as a result of urban expansion. She hasn't yet responded, and I think her letter is important.
Council? Do you have anything to add? He's asking to defer it.
Until next month.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I have no, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have no problem with him deferring, especially if it's
Yeah,
additional
and when
information.
I receive a reply from her, I'll pass it on to Dan.
Okay, did I get a vote on that to defer it? It's
Thank you.
deferred. Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
With the deferral, we will have to re-notify when it comes back to when the additional information comes back, we're going to have to repost everything. The circulation within the newspaper, posting it on the property and the surrounding landowners. So, but there are requirements under the act for timelines. So it might not go to the February meeting. It might go to the March meeting. So just be aware of that. Okay.
Okay.
So
Everybody's good?
I wonder if I could verify with the development officer, if council states the date and time now, do you still have to do the advertising?
No, we don't.
Okay.
But we don't know when the literature is going to come in. That's the challenge.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. That's our last item.
Excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
Deputy Mayor. Under the Planning Act, since there was the denial for development plan amendment for Mr. Edie 2025-02, under
Okay.
the Planning Act, council must pass a resolution stating a reason of the rejection.
Okay, so council wants to add to what our reason is.
They're getting rid of prime agricultural land.
Okay, and I think another point that you had was that it wasn't
Development.
directly connected to employment
development.
lands.
Yeah.
If we could maybe have a 5-minute recess for this last item, Colleen and I can draft quickly a resolution to encompass those matters.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's no items for closed meetings. So we can adjourn, or do we keep it open till you're done that? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, getting ahead of myself again.
Recording
open.
stopped.
Yeah. So we're supposed to get some warmer weather out there, so hopefully we get that, folks. Been cold enough, hasn't it? Not yet. I wanted to go this weekend, maybe. We'll see. Probably is. See you. Have a good night. Thank you for coming. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to
Recording
order
in
here.
progress.
We're going to read out the resolution for, what was the one there? Development Plan Amendment Bylaw 2502, Agriculture Preserve to Employment, first reading for Wayne Edie. Yeah, I can do that. Mover is Melinda, seconder Andy.
Be it resolved that council has rejected Development Plan Amendment Bylaw 2502 as the proposal is not consistent with Agricultural Preserve Area Policy 4.1, which states the protection of prime agricultural land and that employment opportunities should be located adjacent to or within designated employment areas. Therefore, be it resolved that council not proceed with Bylaw 2502.
So I get a motion in favor? Carried. And meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.